Hello, U.S. history students. And this week I want to introduce to you the topic that we're moving into next, which is World War II. Now, we'll get into more of the causes of the war and things like that next week, all right? But I want to introduce to you the section of the world that we're going to be talking about. And we're going to be doing a good old fashioned map activity here with this presentation, all right? So I highly recommend that you use the map on Canvas to get this stuff down, okay? We're going to be labeling a lot of countries. We're going to be identifying a lot of alliances and things like that. So just be prepared for that. I would highly recommend that you use the map available on Canvas, all right? So we're going to start by labeling some of the countries first. And then the most important thing is we're going to start looking at the distinctions, the different alliances, and things like that are going to arise. All right. So we're in Europe again. And here we go. All right. We're going to start over here with this country right here. That is Portugal. All right. Then moving right along, we get Spain. And hopefully these are easy ones for you guys to recognize. We got Portugal, we got Spain, we got France, Great Britain, Germany, Poland, and Russia. Although technically it's not Russia anymore, it's the Soviet Union because it's become communist. Okay, so that should say Soviet Union. Italy, of course, is the boot. Romania, here's a new one. Romania is right here in the center. Okay, right underneath Poland. And Yugoslavia. Right? So be sure you get these down. Portugal, Spain, France, Great Britain, Germany, Poland, Russia, or the Soviet Union, Romania, Yugoslavia, and Italy. All right, there's group number one. Okay, don't worry about shading it in. Don't worry about shading it in. I'm trying to do that so it's easier to follow. Okay, so here comes group number two. Norway up here. Next door to Norway, we've got Sweden. Then next to Sweden, we have Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Greece down there at the bottom. Next to Greece, we have Albania, Bulgaria. We talked about Bulgaria in World War One. Sorry about that. And there's group number two. Okay, there's group number two. Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Albania, Greece, and Bulgaria. There's group number two. Group number three. Switzerland here in the center, above Italy. Austria, of course, beside Austria is Hungary. And then above Austria and Hungary is Czechoslovakia. We have Denmark up here. There's Denmark. The Netherlands. Of course, Belgium. That's what Germany crossed to get into France during World War One. There's Belgium. And Ireland. And then down at the bottom, let's not forget Turkey. Okay, so be sure you get Denmark there. And then there's Turkey. And those are the major countries that we're going to be referring to as we move through the next couple of weeks and we start talking about World War II. Now, what I want you to do is get some colors. You don't have to use the same colors that I use, all right? But now we're going to start coloring in these different countries and looking at alliances and what they were labeled during World War II, okay? So I'm going to use green, and my green colors are going to represent the Axis nations. Now, the Axis is associated with World War II. The Central Powers are associated with World War I. The Axis powers, for lack of a better term, are going to be the bad guys, okay? So your Axis nations are going to be Germany, Austria, Italy, okay? Those are your big Axis nations. And don't forget these two little guys right there, all right? So we got Germany, Austria, Italy, and Albania. And this is part of Germany too, right there. Okay, so those are your Axis nations. Right? Now, using a red crayon, okay, I'm going to use red. We're going to color in our allied nations, okay? And our two big allied nations are going to be the Soviet Union and Great Britain. Now, if it were me, I would put some red stripes through France. Don't color it in completely, okay? And I'll tell you why in just a second. But I would maybe draw some red stripes through France because France is going to be sympathetic to the Allied cause, all right? And again, we'll talk about it in just a second, okay? But the only two big Allied nations are the Soviet Union or Russia over here and Great Britain, okay? And don't forget, we will join the Allies as well, but we're not in it until 1941, okay? Now, taking a purple crayon, we're going to color in the neutral countries. All right. What does neutral mean? Not taking a side. Okay. And there are going to be a bunch of neutral countries. All right. Portugal is going to be neutral. Spain is going to be neutral. Switzerland, of course, is going to be neutral. Turkey is going to be neutral. All right. Um, Sweden is going to be neutral. Ireland is going to be neutral, although technically Ireland is going to kind of support Great Britain, but it's going to be officially neutral. So color in your neutral countries purple. All right, they're not going to officially take a side. Then, last but not least, taking a yellow crayon. All right, so now we're going to get a yellow crayon. Okay, and the yellow crayon we're going to use to color in the countries occupied by the Axis powers. Okay, so here we go. And this is where France is going to come in. Now, remember, I told you to draw some red stripes across France because technically France is an occupied country. But the underground French resistance is going to help the Allies. Okay, so that's why I said I would draw some red stripes through France because it is occupied by Hitler and the Axis powers, but they are going to help out the Allies. Okay, so France is occupied, Belgium is occupied, the Netherlands are occupied, Denmark's occupied, Norway's occupied, Finland's occupied, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Greece. Okay. Down here is Libya. All right. There's Libya down there. All of those are occupied by the Axis powers. Okay. Now, when it comes to Hitler, and we're going to talk more about this next week, Hitler is invading these countries because he sees that as land that Germany lost at the end of World War I, and his desires to get that land back. He is also conquering any land that has German-speaking people living on it. Okay, that is another qualification that he's using to occupy these lands. All right, plus, okay, Italy is going to come down here and take over Libya. The Soviet Union, even though it's on the Allied side, it starts out on the Axis side, and the Soviet Union to kind of come and help take over Estonia and Latvia and Lithuania and places like that, okay? Which is why these countries are occupied as well, all right? And then, of course, here they all are together, okay? Now, the events, the people, the causes, the effects, all of that is where we're headed next week, and we'll get more fully involved with World War II then.